Back in 1997, Steve Jobs gave an interesting presentation. I think it was at the WWDC for some developers who were working on some Mac apps at the time. He was trying to encourage them to use his architecture for these apps, and he was trying to get them to adopt his methodologies for writing software, basically. In this presentation, one interesting analogy he gave was that of construction workers trying to build a skyscraper. He said that, if you're just on the ground floor, maybe you could use your scaffolding and stuff to build up to maybe 5 stories high. But that what he did with his architecture, his standard way of building desktop apps at the time, was to extend these people up. So basically, put them up on floor 25 so their scaffolding could reach all the way to floor 30. And suddenly you can build a 30-story building instead of a 5-story building, which, it's pretty powerful. So that is kind of where we start when we think about creating a standard way to build apps on Bitcoin. If you have to build from the ground, it makes it a little bit difficult. So here we are in Bitcoin right now. Everybody is beautifully with their little face sitting on the ground trying to reach upwards. And maybe they can create something that reaches a little bit upwards. Maybe they can create something of that height, right? And what we want to do with our architecture, and what we are doing, is we're starting people all the way up here. So now they can stand up here, and they can reach even higher. So what is Project Babbage? What is the MetaNet client? Why is it useful? It's useful because now you can create something bigger, better, and easier. You have access to more tools. And oh, by the way, this whole thing down here, this is the internet. This already exists. This is where we all are. So I'd like to thank the people who created the internet for putting us right here. Because, well, it makes things a little bit easier. Now I can record this video and upload it on YouTube or wherever, and people can watch it. Now we can share these ideas without having to be in the same physical space. That's powerful. So that's one way in which we help to create better infrastructure, is by giving people more power. Another thing that Steve Jobs talked about in his 1997 presentation was this idea of backing up data and how it's kind of cumbersome and annoying. He gave this analogy, and actually it was an anecdote. It was his own personal experience. He said, now I have my home computer and I can log in and I have all of my stuff no matter what. And then I go to my office and I can log in with my one computer account. Before Active Directory was pretty prevalent, Microsoft Active Directory. And he could access the same data, the same documents, the same emails, the same desktop environment at home and at work. And he didn't have to ever back up his data. He had everything under his one account. That kind of happened because he said, with gigabit Ethernet coming out and with all these new technologies back then, we were able to get somewhere with that. We were able to link things together, have cloud systems that back up your data, allow it to be used. But one thing that the internet doesn't provide right now is that single, cohesive, shared identity that he anecdotally talked about back then. The internet provides a lot of stuff, but what if users had a single environment that would follow them across all their devices? What if they had a single account where they could keep all of their data and all of their shared application state? That is the vision of the MetaNet, a system in which there is a shared identity interface across all users and all applications. now I'd like to consider something else. We have in the middle here this this individual, right? And there's a box written around them because that box is kind of the way that if I want to talk to that individual, I can do that. So suppose I am an email app, right? And suppose I've got, you know, my email here, and I'm this app, right? How do I talk to this individual to give them access to this information about themselves? Maybe they're emails that they received from other people, maybe things like that, right? The way that we do that is we have this interface between the individual and the application. That is called an API, or an application programming interface. And it's a way that we can let people talk to apps. On the internet right now, we have apps that create APIs, and those apps kind of, everybody has to plug into the app and do things the way that the app wants to do them. Individuals don't really have the ability to move between different apps, right? What if I wanted to, you know, move to another one of these things over here instead? I couldn't easily do it because, well, different apps talk in different ways. I would have to learn the language of this app and how it talks about its information, and then I would need to move it to this other app manually. I would have to go and export all of my songs from my Pandora, and I would have to sync them with iTunes in order to get it to the other app, or whatever. That's cumbersome, slow, unreliable. People shouldn't have to do it. By making it so that the data doesn't live over here, but instead it lives in here with the user, and all the apps have to talk to the user. That's why I put that box there. They use this like standard mechanism to communicate with the user. It means that identity information, user data, user state can move across different apps. And it also means that users, just like Steve Jobs described, can move across different devices without losing certain things which they have, which they've been working on. So the power of the MetaNet and the power of the MetaNet client, which is a piece of software that we've created, is that when apps choose, when an email app chooses to make itself available on the MetaNet client, when an identity app where you can, like, you know, share who you are with somebody, when a chat app, maybe a social networking app, something else, a music app. In fact, there is going to be some cool music apps coming out on the MetaNet soon, but when these people try to, and yes, that is a music logo, when people make their apps available through the MetaNet client and the MetaNet ecosystem, people can use those apps across their devices. They can move between different apps while maintaining the same information and keeping it all updated always, because the information is in here with the user. And they can also pay for things directly and protect their privacy, which are little side benefits of having a standard way for apps to plug in to user identity and user information. So the MetaNet client is software where apps can come and plug into the user, and if the apps want to make themselves available to the user through this MetaNet client, it's like a little, you know, the user lives in a little house, and the MetaNet client is like a door, and they can come up and knock on the door if they want. If they want to talk to the user, if they want to make themselves available to the user, if they want to give the user power over their information, they can do so. So the MetaNet client is powerful software for that reason. I want to give an overview here of that, and I hope that I've been able to do so in this video. The vision that Steve Jobs had in 1997 has still not been realized for the average user. We kind of have the ability to move things between devices with the cloud, but then your stuff is in the cloud, and that's problematic because, like I said, if I want to move to another app, well, can I? Not easily. And so on a local device where you have all your stuff and people can plug into it, you know, Just like apps on your phone, they request access to your photos or your location. Any app can access the same set of your photos or your location. How about we do that for everything? How about we create an internet that puts people at the center instead of putting apps at the center? That's the kind of thing the MetaNet enables. That's the kind of thing that our software, the MetaNet client, enables. It's kind of like web browser, only for this kind of thing. And it's a place where apps can make themselves available to the user and not the other way around. Thank you.